Today on The Bob Dodd Show, a very special guest stops by. He has one of the biggest and kindest hearts on this spaceship we call Earth. He is a keymaster to many people in my circle. With his playful personality, he will make quick work bringing a smile and warmth to your heart. Everyone, it is my great pleasure to introduce my friend, Michael Lowendick. Hello, everybody. Thank you for stopping by The Bob Dodd Show. I have one of my favorite people on planet Earth with us today. I would like everybody to give a warm welcome to my friend, Michael Lowendick.
Thanks.
Michael, thank you so much for coming in, dude. It's so strange. I have a lot of my friends come on, and I don't know how to introduce them all the time. There's a lot of cool things about yourself that I would like people to know about. One of the things that you have probably the warmest and biggest heart out of everybody that I know. So that's very important to me, and I dig that. I think that being a person who is caring as you is a huge deal. Second, you're very talented, grip, and one of the things that I talk about constantly about, and I'm going to try not to say and like and all the other thought words, but you have a special walk run that you do on set that I feel that IATSE should teach. And I talk to a numerous amount of grips, and they feel the same way. One of the things I want to touch on is that walk, how you developed it. We don't have to get into it right this second, but I love it. I tried it. I make my tools shake like crazy when I do it. I don't know how you do it, but it's extremely impressive. Another thing is you have a love for games, comic books, and movies. I would like to touch base on those topics. And I'd like to learn some other things maybe I don't know. Like that you have family, you have a brother, and if you have any other family members. But give us a little insight about yourself, man. Can you give us a little introduction to yourself that maybe you want people to know about yourself starting off?
Yeah. No, thank you for having me and for that very nice introduction. I do really love movies and TV shows. I love animation. I worked in film for 11 years. It's pretty incredible. It's very fun. Meet a lot of cool people like Bob and others. And yeah, I've always liked games of all kinds. I like board games, card games, video games. And my family's kind of spread out. My sister's in California with her husband's son. She's not in film, but she really likes it there.
Is she older or younger than you?
She's older by 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. She's super cool. I'm fortunate I'm close with everyone in my family.
That's awesome.
My brother's 2 years younger than me. He lives in Ohio, and my mom also lives in Ohio, and then my dad lives in Illinois.
Okay. Do you get a chance to go to Ohio or Illinois?
I do. I try to go once a year to each state, sometimes twice a year to Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes my family visit me, and I hang out and show them around Georgia. So, yeah, it's
That's
really
awesome.
cool.
You have your brother's coming into town here soon?
Yeah, he's coming Wednesday.
Very cool.
Me and him really like conventions, and he goes to a few more than me, but every now and then we'll go to one together. And Georgia has this convention called MomoCon. They're doing not this weekend, but next weekend. It's gonna have a lot of people in games and voice acting and movies, so we're excited for that.
That's cool. Does your brother now for the games, is he a board gamer or is he a D&D gamer or is he a video gamer?
He's more of a video gamer.
Okay.
But he's also, even though he doesn't work in film, he knows a lot more about movies than me. Like he can know when something came out. He's seen a lot more than me. But we're both really into movies and video games and then animation. So when a voice actor comes, we'll usually get an autograph from them or go to one of their panels to learn about their process. And
Yeah. Do you have a favorite voice actor?
I I do. He's actually gonna be there next weekend. His name's Johnny Young Bosch.
Okay.
He replaced one of the Power Rangers. I can't remember off the top of my head
What's
which
his name
one.
again?
Johnny Young Bosch.
Johnny Young Bosch. Check it out, Johnny Young Bosch, because like I'm gonna look this up. This is why I said I need a TV up there and I need a computer because I want to look it up. I want to check it out.
No, he's really good. He
Yeah.
mostly does voice acting. So
Okay.
there was a big show when I was a teenager called
Yeah.
Trigun, which was a outer space western, and he played the main character in that. And he's done a bunch of anime and video game voice
Yeah.
characters. So I'm excited to meet him.
That's very cool. Like two people that I don't. Do you know Jason Weimer?
I do not, unfortunately.
He's another grip in town, but he does voice acting, and so does Heath. So I think that two people that are in voice acting in my world, I'm going to try to get them on and talk about voice acting and what it's like. You know, Jason has the very deep talking voice, and he's very intellectual, and he speaks this way. And I know Heath has a few different voices, so I'd like to get them on and like see what they've been doing and things like that. So voice acting is really cool. Mark Hamill is probably one of the voices that I would know. I mean, he's pretty big, you know. When he played did he play the Joker?
He played the Joker. In
Yeah.
Batman. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know his voice for comic cartoons and
Yeah.
stuff like that. What other actors that were big like Mark Hamill you think that are doing? There's a ton of them, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of, like you said, like celebrity voice actors where they mostly do live action,
Mhm.
like Will Arnett, he's hosts Lego Masters,
Okay.
and he was in Arrested Development, but he's also Lego Batman,
Okay.
and then he's also plays the main character for BoJack Horseman. He's BoJack Horseman animated show.
Yeah, I know BoJack Horseman.
Yeah, it's a both funny and depressing show.
A lot of those shows, I worry about showing my kids. Is there any kid-friendly ones out there?
Yes, there is. I mean, Lego Movie, of course. If you're cool with them watching Spider-Man, sorry, I got the title. It's
That's okay.
Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
Nicolas Cage plays one of the incarnations of Spider-Man.
Really?
Yeah, plays Peter
I'm a Nick
Parker.
Cage fan.
Yeah,
A lot of people say whatever they say about Nicolas Cage. I like him.
I'm not his number one fan, but I do love him to death. I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of his movies. I like he has really good classic ones like
Mhm.
Raising Arizona,
Oh,
Con
yeah.
Air, Face Off.
Oh.
But he also has like a lot of fun bad movies like Ghost Rider 2 or Drive Angry.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like Nicolas Cage. I like his like National Treasure movies and all the other movies he's in. I'm a fan of Nick Cage. As far as being a huge fan of anybody, I'm not a big fan of anybody, but I really appreciate Nicolas Cage, and that means a lot from my scaling. So,
Yeah.
you know, if any of you guys are Nick Cage fans out there, yeah, I like Nick Cage. If you don't like Nick Cage, nah, whatever. But that's cool, man. Comic-Con, you get to go to those kind of shows often.
I go about once a year. So like I got this shirt for Cincinnati Comic Expo. I went last year with my
Nice.
brother. They got the cast for the original X-Men to do a panel, and I got to meet the voice actress who does Rogue, and it was really cool.
Wow.
And then I've been to Dragon Con before and a few others, but this is my first year at MomoCon, so I'm excited.
That's awesome. Do you have a favorite? Like,
No, it's every event's very different. Like,
because those things to me, not to cut you off, sorry. To me, like all those kinds of shows are so packed full of people. I have this like anxiety of being around that many people and everybody is so passionate about what they do. I just feel like falling into like a little hole, like, oh my gosh. It's
It depends. Some are
yeah.
bigger than others. The biggest one we have here is Dragon Con.
Hmm.
And that, like you said, on Saturdays does feel that claustrophobia. So, but if you go on like a Friday or Sunday, it's not too bad. Some conventions are smaller, so you have more, like you said, breathing room, and it's
Yeah.
not so crazy. So, but yeah, always when in doubt, just don't go Saturdays because
Don't
that's
go
when tons
Saturdays.
of people go.
Yeah, that's when everybody has the time to do it, I guess. Right?
Well, on Sunday, unless it's on like a holiday weekend, everyone's wrapping up. So everyone's getting ready to
Oh,
go home, and then the actors have a flight to catch. So you don't know if
sure.
they'll stay, how long they'll stay.
Yeah.
So that's
I,
just how it goes.
have you ever been to one where you get to dress up or make an outfit?
I did once.
What'd you go as?
Dark Helmet from Spaceballs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Fitting. I should have known.
yeah, it was a lot of
I
fun.
feel like
Well,
I should have heard this story before, though. Is this recent or is this in
this
the
is a
past?
while ago, like
Oh my gosh.
6 years ago at Dragon Con. One of my friends who does electric, he made the helmet for me, and I just dressed all in black, and it was
Yeah.
ginormous, and
I
it had the flip where you could flip it back.
What do you still have the helmet?
Now I
You gave it
moved
back?
around, and it got
Oh,
beat up,
oh
and yeah,
man. I wish if some did you throw it away or
I
is it
can't remember.
okay? If you ever find it and you want to donate it to the studio, I'll make sure it sits right here because
It literally would take up
the whole
this
table.
much space. It was very impressive.
Man, I can just imagine, dude. That is so great. Now, your likeness to Rick Moranis, people probably say that to you a lot. Has that ever gotten old?
No, it hasn't. I find it very endearing. I grew up watching Honey I Shrunk the
Oh yeah.
Kids and Little Giants.
Yeah.
I was bad because I was afraid of horror films,
Hmm.
even like kid horror films. I didn't see Ghostbusters till college,
Yeah.
but I love Spaceballs to death.
I showed my boys Spaceballs with my wife, and it was PG,
Yeah,
right? It says it's PG, and it's definitely not PG anymore.
it it, it was it went along the line of being PG
Yeah.
13, and in some of the jokes, adults are like, "That's a lot," and the kids are like, "What does that mean?" You're like, "Don't worry about it."
Don't worry about it. Who's that? That's an asshole, sir. What are you? There's a lot of assholes, sir.
Yeah,
Who's all assholes? I love that movie. And at that scene with the asshole scene, at the time, my kid was, I think, just turned 5.
yeah.
So it was like a year ago. Even he knew the word asshole and he was laughing his butt off at that scene.
Mhm.
So that movie broke a lot of barriers within like the family movie night. And I just want you to know, I remembered it differently for folks that are out there thinking like, I can't believe you showed a 5-year-old kid that movie. However, I would do it again. They loved the movie. It was such a great movie,
Yeah.
man.
But yeah, one of the really great grips in town, Patrick Fields, when he met me, he called me Keymaster after Rick Moranis' character in Ghostbusters. So like I'm walking, they're like, Keymaster, we need to go do this.
Yeah.
So it was really cool.
That's a cool handle.
Yeah.
That is a real cool handle. I never heard either of the stories of that you had been Dark Helmet or someone called you Keymaster.
Mm,
I'm gonna start calling you Keymaster.
I'm fine with that. It's a
Yeah,
good
because I
one.
dig it. That's a
Yeah.
good like a tag name for like a fighter jet.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's so cool. I think being that you're into the gaming, you're into just comic books, and I want like all that type of entertainment. Where does your likes hit for music? Do you like really equate like music that goes along with that art, goes along with the comics? Are you into that
I
stuff
do
too?
like J-pop a lot. They
Okay.
do the openings and endings for anime, Japanese animation
Hmm.
shows, and they're really good. But I like rock. I like alternative. Um, rap and country aren't my favorite, but any song done right,
Sure.
it doesn't matter the genre.
Yeah, because I always think about the different music that runs with the comics and that fantasy. You know, I don't even know what you call it, but like a lot of the fantasy games that I remember people playing that because like number one, I'm not a gamer. I just for video games, we didn't have video games growing up. I think I had a Nintendo and eventually had a PlayStation at one point. But Final Fantasy, like all the music, like all the way down to Castlevania, the original Nintendo was it Link, like all that music played a big role in why I even was interested in the game. Like I heard the music and then got the concept of all these games later. Like I dug the music and got the concepts of the games later. I don't know if that's normal. A lot of people who got those games loved the play of the game. But like what captivated you to have this like this taste of the games and the comic books and board games?
Um, yeah, it was my parents. They were open to letting me try different things, so they got us, like you said, Super Nintendo, and then like 64. And I usually I'll play any type of game.
Hmm.
I suck at rhythm games, so if you
Okay.
play like Guitar Hero or um Dance Dance Revolution, I'll lose. But like I really like RPGs. So
Okay.
I played a lot of those where it is like you said, the
Yeah.
fantasy world. I didn't notice the music till I got older.
Okay.
And then like you said, it really stands out and you're like, this is really well done.
Yeah, I didn't even really like playing the video game. There's like two games that I really liked growing up was Bond. I liked playing the Bond game on Nintendo 64. And then the PlayStation game, there was race car games. And for some reason, I really liked the NASCAR race car game. I really liked it. But as far as other games like Madden football or sports games, I wasn't really into it. And the fantasy, there was too much reading for me. It's like it had like this like cadence to it, and I was never able to get into the story. Now, fast forward to where I am now, and I bought my son like one of those Nintendo classics, so
Hmm.
it's like a small thing, and I noticed that like they're getting into the games, and I'm just sitting there thinking to myself like, see, I got into the music first. I didn't get into the games first, but they're getting into the games first. So I see it from a different perspective or a different lens now. And I just sit there and think to myself, who would I call? There's two people I call about video games. And one would be you, and then another one would just be this dude, Jared. And both of you guys would be like my go-to if I had any questions. So in the future, I might hit you up with some questions.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm better with more old school games.
Hmm.
I only play slightly contemporary, so
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to answer many of your questions there. But yeah, like the Super Nintendo Mini has a bunch of really good games on it. Super
Yeah.
fun. But yeah, so like you said, Legend of Zelda, Super Mario RPG, Earthbound, stuff like that. And then when I got older, my parents, like you said, they got me a game that was a couple years older than
Yeah.
I was a couple years younger to play it, but they let me play it and it was cool. It was like Pokemon, but all the monsters were from mythology. So you had
Okay.
things from Greek gods or like random monsters, and they each had strengths and weaknesses.
That's cool. I like when video games have real um, mythology or real stories
Mhm.
into them. I think that's cool.
For sure.
Yeah. With you kind of being in the film industry and you're on the transition out, like you have made the exit, and you made the exit a little bit before the whole kind of like roller coaster downhill, or I call it the lull, but like right now we're kind of at a slowdown. But you left it like before the slowdown happened. Did you kind of like just get sick of the film industry and just went where something where you could be a little bit more passionate about, or did what made you change?
So I've always loved film industry. I
Hmm.
always had fun on set, and it was always cool to meet people and do different projects. Um, it just probably like every 2 years since I joined, like 2013,
Hmm.
I debate about leaving because I just don't deal well with the stop and go of it,
Yeah.
where you're on a show or you're day playing a bunch, and then suddenly you can't find anything, and you don't know how long do I have to wait, like 2 weeks, six
Yeah.
weeks. Um, I also just don't get very productive during that time. Some people in our industry crush it, and you're
Yeah.
like, I learned this skill, or was able to take care of this project, or see family, or whatever, and I just was never that person. So that's why, after several years of going back and forth, um, and then after the writer's strike too, that was, I would say, the first start of the slowdown.
Yeah.
I talked it out with my family, and I decided to switch to going to school. I'm going to school for nursing. They're helping me out, so I'm very grateful for that. I know everyone doesn't have that same option, but that's what
Yeah.
I'm doing. But yeah, it's been a very fun journey.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back, I graduated in 2013.
Mhm.
I didn't have a lot of money, so I didn't want to go to New York or California. We had some alumni in Louisiana, and they had a decent film scene for a few years.
Yeah.
So I moved there with a classmate. I started doing indie projects. I PA'd a lot, and that was not fun. So I tried to always be nice to PAs in the future,
Oh,
just because
heck yeah. Because they might be your boss the next turnaround.
it's not that. It's things are. It's a tough job, and you often are just the messenger. Or
Well,
if there's so much moving pieces,
mhm.
and then if you give the wrong information, now the whole department's like, I don't know if we can trust this person.
Yeah. Well, I think with your personality, I mean, number one, your personality has warmed the hearts of so many people in our industry. And I feel like every time when I talk to Tyler, if I talk to anybody from the Gripolotopus crew, it's like we have this like endearing love for you. And it's when we heard that you were taking the shift to like you're shifting your gears and you're going to go a different direction, we were all like, huh, like we weren't expecting it, and it was like kind of like a big news to everybody. When I heard it, I was like, I know that someone like I knew that someone in your family was in the medical field. And I remember you talking about how that was like an idea or like you had thought about it before. And then when I heard that you made that leap, I was just like, I felt this like weight come off my shoulder. I'm like, oh, Mike's doing something that I wish I could do. And dude, like this, like I was like, I wish I had the balls that Mike had, to just get out and go do something different, because the movie industry always has a way to hold you back or hold you in the industry. So, man, kudos to you for changing it up. I had no idea that you went to Louisiana first. Can you go through because all your experience, I mean, like you're a good grip. So like when you're actually like when you're loved the way you are, and I hope you know that you're loved by everybody. Like when you're loved the way you are and you're a good person to be around, I feel like there's that's not going to be there, the next time, because you're going to be in a hospital somewhere or some doctor's office somewhere doing your thing. And it's just going to be like, oh, I wonder what, Mike's up to. But I'm spreading out in my brain right now. However, I want to know like your travels when you went to Louisiana, like what shows did you work on? Did you get to meet any cool people? I understand that you PA'd a couple days, but like, you're not ever to treat anybody poorly. I've never seen you treat anyone bad ever. And so like whoever comes across your path, I'm sure they have like some form of attachment to you automatically. But like, tell me your story about Louisiana, because I didn't know that you went there first. I thought you were here in Atlanta first.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
there's water under here if you need any.
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, thank you very much for all those kind words. That means a lot. But yeah, Louisiana was very cool. Unlike Georgia, I love to death. I love the forest. I love the city. I love all the cool jobs I've done. The flip side is Louisiana, everything was very close. So it was like a 20 to 30-minute drive at most. Other times you could get there in 15, and it was
Oh, wow.
incredible. Just because it's a very small city, New Orleans to Atlanta. But yeah, after PAing, I eventually just worked up the courage to talk to the key grip on an indie show, and he said I could work for him, and production was cool if I was just an intern, which I didn't care. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I started doing that, and then they brought me on to another show, and slowly started getting good. Well, I was very bad at my job, Bob, for a couple of years. Like,
Everyone has a growing and learning experience.
yeah, no, you're right. But I it's a mix of like I was always nervous, so like whenever we had to learn a new skill that we got used to, like setting a point in the ceiling
Mm.
or driving a condor or whatever, I would just kind of be like I can't do that. So,
Oh.
but over time, like you said, I grew. And then eventually I met an alumni and from Wright State, the college I went to. His name's Joe Casano. He's a really cool dolly grip.
Shout out to
Super
Joe.
nice guy. Yeah. Um, and I said like, hey, like I know we haven't met, but like, do you know like where I can find work or whatnot? And he said like he'll see what he can do. And then later he brought me on a Matthew McConaughey movie called Free State of Jones. It's lesser known. I would say it's okay, but working out was very fun. We're
Yeah.
out in the woods, setting stuff, and that's where I learned the fast walk because I wasn't the best grip, but we're like filming over fields of grass and
Yeah.
trees, and gear would be like 100 yards away. So I don't know how to describe it. Like you said, you can't run on set because that's a hazard.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
So Mike has this walk and he's perfected it. It's kind of a walk where you're walking very, very fast, almost as fast as a run. However, when you're carrying equipment, bringing in anything, whether if it's a C-stand, a flag, a rag, points for the ceiling, anything, we wear tool belts and we try to stay quiet and we try to be quick and really fast. So you'll hear Mike say flying in. And then when Mike is running, it looks like he's walking and it doesn't bother people on set. When you come flying in and you're really sporadic, like if you run in on set like the way I do, people are like, oh man, Bob's here. When Mike runs in, he runs in and it looks like he's walking in and nobody like notices what he's doing. So it's almost like a ninja move and he then assists or does whatever he needs to do. It's a very cool walk. I tried doing it, but the way I do it, I'm bigger than Mike and rounder. I shake my belt and then I'll make more noise than I normally would. So I can't do it, but I tried. It's amazing that you can do that because it's almost like a magician's trick, you know, a Michael Jackson walk. And a lot of people are big fans of it. And I think it's really cool that you invented it.
Thanks.
I've never seen anybody else do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where you did, like in the field, you learned how to do it there.
Yeah, just open field. Gear was spread out, so I could get stuff in quickly. And then I was day playing on that show. And then I've been very fortunate, like you said, where I have a good impression on people, both in terms of my personality and work ethic, that even if they only met me for one day, they'll give me a shot down the road.
Yeah.
And same deal. I did a day on a movie called Daddy's Home with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. Just one day. And the best boy chatted with me a bit. I was like, cool. And then like while I was day playing Free State Jones, he's like, do you want to work full time on a show. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do.
Heck yeah.
So that was my first full time job. It was
Cool.
called Underground Railroad. It was a TV show.
Okay.
It was a lot of fun. And then that was in 2015. I had gotten better at saving money. I'd met people. I was stoked. And then I can't remember if it was August or September. They changed the cap on Louisiana. So very little productions were going.
Did they shrink it?
They did. So a lot of
Man.
people were hesitant to film there. So it's unfortunate, but it's similar to how it is now across the country, where there's not a lot of shows going. So some people are fortunate, but a lot of people are not. So I did one more show in Louisiana. It was a direct-to-TV show called SuperCon, but it has Clancy Brown in it, who's the bad guy warden in Shawshank Redemption.
Wow.
Who's also Lex Luthor in the Superman animated series.
That's awesome.
So that was cool.
That is very cool.
But I saved all the money from that, and that's when I came here.
That's
to
awesome.
Georgia, 2016.
2016. I arrived to Georgia a year after you. I landed here October 27th, 2017. Yeah. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Man. So that's cool, man. So when did you meet up with Landon and Tyler? How did you get it with that click?
I was very fortunate again. The dolly grip for Underground Railroad. His name was Kenneth. I can't remember. Yep.
Nice.
I hit him up when I moved, and he gave me a day there. It was on the originals. Tyler was still a third, and Landon was king. Richard was his best boy.
Yeah.
So I did a day or two there. And then later they brought me on for reshoots for American Made with Tom Cruise. And it was super cool. And I love working with Landon and Tyler so much.
Right.
They're super kind, very talented individuals, and every day, it's just fun to be around. But yeah, I did that, and it took me about a year to get established, but I met Landon, Tyler, I met Eddie Evans and Tom Barrett, who used to run Pirate Grips. They retired, but they kept me busy. And then 2018, little bit of a rocky start, but I started day playing, and that's how I met you on, is it Love Is?
It was Love Is when I first met you. And I don't exactly remember when you came in, but I think Landon was besting the show while Chris was keying when I first met you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And right then and there, dude, like my first impression of you was like, who's this dude? Like, he's so nice. I wonder if he's really nice. He's acting really nice. I wonder if he is really nice. I don't know. Because I don't know anybody in Georgia. And I just thought you were from here because I was from up north. And it turns out you're a Yankee too. And dude, I was like, he's cool, man. I like him. He doesn't talk much because you didn't talk a lot. You just, whenever you needed to say something, you said it. And whenever you didn't need to say something, you didn't say it. So I felt like getting to know you was like, there was like a little breadcrumb every so often I'd pick up. And man, I fell in love with you. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, there was a handful of shows that I worked on with Tyler. And it was always like talked about like, is Lowendick coming or is he going to be around? And I say Mike's name wrong. I'm sorry. You spell a name in your phone one time wrong and you read it that way. I did it with a lot of people. I spelled names wrong. I don't know how to spell. But Mr. Lowendick here, it's just like we always ask, like, are you going to come? Are you going? And when you showed up, dude, it was such a treat because you were fun dude to hang out with, man. And those grip days are days that my kids know about, like just hanging out and just all the stories that I've told them, I hope that they can get different versions of it from watching this show. Cause I think this show is going to be on YouTube forever now. I'm never going to take it down. I don't think so. I don't think it's ever going to fall off. So they can look back at this when they're older and be like, oh, look at Dad. That's Michael that he talked about all the time. Or that's, Mark and Heath that he talked about all the time. And it's just, this show is going to be full of people that I love and respect, and I feel are talented or interesting people. So you like fit all the check marks for me. So this is like, I was nervous for having you on because I have a tendency to make people feel strange or weird. And I talk a lot. My mom, if you listen to this, I know I'm talking a lot. She told me not to talk so much and let other people talk. But, yeah, dude, it was very special when we made this date. I made sure that the day before and the day after, there was nothing really there. That way I can focus on having you here and making sure you were comfortable. So I hope it's going good so far because I know I can make things weird.
No, it hasn't gone weird.
Yeah.
So, and you do a good job of like presenting questions and giving your guests a chance to expand upon them.
Thank you. I'm learning. Everything is a learning experience with this podcast. I was hoping to be behind it. And when my wife and I started the Pinbox production, she was like, you're going to start a YouTube and podcasting production company, but you don't know how to do it. And I'm like, no, but I think that I'll find out. And the product that I'll offer should be simple enough that people will be able to gravitate towards it, afford it, and, they'll have something if they want to do a podcast also. I have a podcast that I'm doing tomorrow night, and I'm excited about it. I'm not in the podcast. I'm going to be producing it behind the scenes. So I can't wait for that to come out. And then another fellow friend, he's another grip. We have something in the works. He's producing it right now too. So for all you conspiracy theorists out there, Pinbox Productions might have a conspiracy theory, produce a conspiracy theory podcast. And, if that really does happen, I'll drop the host's name and his sidekick when I can. But yeah, so we're excited to do this, and having the right people on was something that I'm thinking a lot about. So everybody that's on here, I'm planning it, so you're fulfilling it, man. And you're supporting the channel. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after all this grip talk, you decided that you're going to hit the medical field up.
Mhm.
Now, was it your father that was in the medical field?
It was my mom.
Your mother? Okay.
She was a physical therapist, and then she switched to hand therapy for last chunk of her career.
Hand therapy?
Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
A lot of broken bones.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, cause I might, yeah, I don't know. Like I have arthritis in my fingers. That's why it's like fat right here and fat right. I have arthritis. So it's like, it's interesting. I didn't know they had hand therapy. If I could go to the doctors, I probably would have known.
It's scary going to the doctor.
Yeah.
That's the one weird thing about going to that career is like the best case scenario for the client is nothing's wrong with you and now you're
Yeah.
out money. Worst case is something really bad and I'm out money.
Yeah. Or, like, gosh, man, within our circle, we have a friend that's going through some stuff right now. And, yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about it on the podcast because it's not my place to talk about it, but you know who you are if you're listening. We're thinking of you all the time and we're here for you if you need us. But he lost a loved one, and to have that, something that's, you're gonna have to deal with stuff like that. And that's something I can't think about because I don't know how to think about it. I can't imagine it, with the fact of the matter is people come to the hospital when they're not doing good. And for being a person that's their job, man, they have to have like that rhino skin, that real solid, foundation in their beliefs and be able to like push through some hard stuff. And when you told me that you were going to do that, I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, Man, he's so tough. He's like tough as nails, so many different ways, man. Like I wish I could get the balls that Mike has and try something different. And I think, this is my version of that, like trying to do something outside of the film industry. And you had a lot of I don't know the right word, but like you inspired me to really jump through it, When you told me that you were doing your move, I was like, I got to do something too. I got to do something that's right for me. So it's like you inspired me to actually start this. And it was just an idea that I was kicking around. But after I talked to you, I was like, because I told you I'm doing it, and I never told my wife, So after I told you that I was doing it, right there when I was sitting in the car talking to you on the phone, my kid's inside doing jujitsu at his academy, and you told me what you were doing, and I'm like, I'm doing this. I told Mike I'm doing it. I got to do it. So here I am, dude. Now that that's out of the bag, I don't know. Like you were a huge inspiration for the Pinbox Productions and the Bob Dodd podcast.
No, I'm very flattered for that. I was really scared to like tell people
Yeah.
because most of my friends are in film
Mhm.
and I didn't want them to be upset or be like, why are you doing that or whatever. So I was a good chunk into school already, like almost done with the semester. And I hit up like my main circle of people and
Yeah.
everyone were like you. They're like, I'm sad that you're
Yeah.
leaving, but I'm happy you're choosing a new career that sounds interesting to you. And if it'll make you happy, that's what's important. So it was very touching
Yeah.
having everyone respond in that way. And it is tough, this new career, but it's doable. And like you said, it will be scary once I'm introduced to, like you said, that people pass on.
Yeah.
And it's hard and I can't imagine for the person that loves them to death what they're going through too. So that'll be tough. But I think and I tell like my family this a lot. I don't think I could do medical school if I didn't do gripping first. In my
Interesting.
20s, I was super grossed out by blood and guts
Wow.
and I would get stressed out and couldn't do it. And what we do as grips, it's different, but what we do is very safety oriented that if
Mm-hmm.
we mess up, someone could get hurt or die.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really scary. Um, and we learn protocol, we will learn teamwork, we learn all that. And I don't know if it was watching more horror films or anime with violence or what, but blood and guts, like when you first see it, you're like, that's a lot. Like we played around
Yeah.
like little brains and stuff
Mm-hmm.
in school. And you're like, yeah, that's a lot. But then later you're like, yeah, I can do this.
Well, that's pretty interesting because like everybody has that open the door moment. Like, all right, I have to get through this. This is like the gatekeeper of whatever it's going to be. If it's going to be your industry or your new career. So when you're sitting there in class and they're saying, Mike, you're going to have a brain in front of you and you're going to have to dissect it or take it apart or keep it whatever. You're going to be holding a human brain and you're going to have to tell me everything about this that we taught you. I'm getting like squeamish a little bit about actually holding someone's brain. I held a real skull in my hand once. I used to sell and show Oriental rugs in Pittsburgh as a job, and the guy who owned the rug company, he had a skull on his desk, and I'm like picking it up, looking at it, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. It looks real, feels real, He's like, it is real. I'm like, you have a skull on your desk. Like, where do you get that from? And I forget where he got it from. He got it somewhere, but you're holding a brain. What's going through your mind holding this brain? Did it have like the cerebral, the cortex and everything on it, like in the spine, or
So it's a sheep's brain instead of a human. So it
okay,
can fit in the palm of your hand.
yeah,
And they didn't want us to cut them because then you want to save some for other classes. But you have one cut in half and one whole one. And at first, like
Yeah.
for 2 seconds, I'm like, this is a lot. And then you pick it up and then do like you said, where it's like, this is what this part is from the picture. This is what a function is.
Oh,
So I think it's a mix of like being in the right mindset and then,
yeah.
like you said, exposure. Like each time you do it, it gets a bit easier.
That's interesting. That's really interesting.
It's hard though, because when I went to school for film,
Mm-hmm.
it was more like practical, like you're setting up stuff
Yeah.
for a scene or writing papers or that kind of thing, where where anatomy and physiology is a lot about memorization, learning what the parts are, what they do. And I feel like I love board games, but
Mm-hmm.
every time someone explains me a new one, I feel like a 4 year old and I'm like, I don't get this. And they're
Yeah.
like, I don't know if I can play it. And then you play it and you're like, okay, I'm starting to get it.
Takes a couple rounds.
But for school, it's like you learn
Oh,
about bones and you're like, this is a lot. I'm starting to understand what they do. All right, cool. You guys got that. Now it's muscles. And I'm like, what? They're like, they do this system.
my
And you're
gosh.
like, oh,
How many bones are in a human body?
206.
Oh man. And most of those bones are in your feet, right?
They're in your feet and your hands. So
Okay.
like I'm gonna do the math wrong, but I think there's like 16
Okay.
between here and through your fingers.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
All them little things working in conjunction with one another with the nerves and stuff like that.
for sure. That's what's fun though too, is learning the pieces and figuring out how they work together.
Did you touch base on nerves at all? Yeah.
We have.
What's up with phantom pain and phantom feelings?
So we only went over it briefly,
Okay.
so I can't really give you a good answer.
Yeah, go for
But
it.
it sounds like, even though, like you said, the nerve's gone, because how it works is I touch this, I feel it. So I touch it, that signal goes to my brain being like, you're feeling something solid. And if I were to step on a nail,
Mm-hmm.
you would feel it,
Yeah.
sends a message, and you're like, ow, and you would move away. So I don't know how, if my finger was gone, but I still, like you said, feel
Yep.
soreness in the finger that doesn't exist. I don't know if there's some confusion going on or what, but yeah.
Yeah. I have phantom pain in my lower back.
Mhm.
And it was due to a wound I sustained back a long time ago, 2018. And every once in a while, I will feel this like excruciating like jolt. It's not it doesn't feel like electricity. It feels like a very sharp insertion of like something. And I'll just like out of nowhere just be like, oh my gosh. Like
Yeah.
so I'm interested into I should say I'm interested in the nerves aspects because like I do hear about when I looked up why do I have this pain in my back, a lot of stuff came up like where amputees would say that they still feel their toes when their foot's gone. And it's just so strange to me. Like, how does that happen?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
YouTube's crazy, guys. It go down a rabbit hole quick.
Well,
But
it's also crazy because, like, 2,000 years ago, well, not even 2,000 years ago, let's say like 1800s,
yeah.
if I got stabbed in my belly,
Mhm.
I'm going to die from infection.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then farther back, medieval times, you could live a life. You're not in any wars. You didn't get sick, but you're going to die around 32. We don't understand how to take care of you
Yeah.
for things, and that's it.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
What was the life expectancy? Or did they go over that with you?
We went over it in another class for human development.
Mhm.
But yeah, like life expectancy improved as we understood, like both for technology and understanding for medicine, for how to get food and water, how to deal with infection, things
Yeah.
like that.
Because life expectancy, is it like 76 now?
That's the average, but you can
Yeah.
still live past 100.
That's crazy.
I know. I think she showed us pictures of some people that were like 115.
Wow.
And I'm like, I don't even know what I would do at that point. who just look so beat up.
Like, yeah, I know. Talking about YouTube again. So I was watching a video about this, and it was an older gentleman. He was celebrating his 101st birthday. Now, he started having kids young. They were asking him questions, and I don't want to quote it because I don't remember everything, but they said, "How many kids did you have?" He said, "I had 6 boys and 8 girls." And they're like, "Wow, like how many grandchildren do you have?" He's 64, or like some kind of crazy, like 64 grandkids, because like all their families had big families. And then he's like, yeah, or no, he had like 34 grandchildren, or yeah, grandchildren. And then he said he had like something like 60 some great grandchildren and like 15 great grandchildren. And it just made me think about like the lineage in the Bible. You know what I mean? Like how that's a long span, in 101 years. If he started having kids at 18, 17, or 19, or whatever the age was, because like back then you had kids young because you didn't, like 55 was old. And if you look at the photos back in the day in the 20s and 30s, they look like they're 50 or 60, but they're really like 26 and 27. It's because of the way that they like present themselves in suits and stuff like that. Oh man, that's too cool. That is cool, man.
Yeah. One other thing about film.
Yeah.
So one of the first projects I got to day play on when I moved to Georgia, was Ozark season 1.
Okay.
As a day, if you're on a show full time, you can be like a detective where this event that we're filming takes place before this event, but after that, and you can figure out the story.
Yeah.
I came in like halfway of shooting season 1. I just talked to one of their grips. I'm like, what is this show about? And they're like, it's about money laundering and like crime and stuff. And I'm like, they're just sitting there talking.
Yeah.
I don't understand what this is about. We had 2 action moments, and one was season 1 when the people fry themselves on the ladder getting on the boat. And I'm like, okay, that's something. And then, gosh, what was the other one?
Was it where the old man shot the shotgun or something
Oh,
when they first got to the birdhouse?
no, I think that was the only other moment. And then the other moment was filming on stage for the basement of the bird's house. And the mom saying, get the gun. And they're getting excited, but it was just misunderstanding. But I was just sort of like, I don't know about this show.
Oh man.
And then like I saw it, I'm like, this is really good.
Well, the writers on that were awesome. And I mean, gosh, like Jason Bateman was a great writer and director and actor on that. And Laura Linney, they had such a great cast. And, one of, like, if someone were to ask me, like, what was one of your favorite moments on Ozark? One of my favorite moments is when I told Laura Linney that I am from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And she just goes, oh. And I'm like, oh man, she doesn't like Pittsburgh. And then she started singing to me like a cappella, the Mr. Rogers Neighborhood song. And I'm the only, like, it's like me. I don't know who else was standing next to me. It could have any one of the grips. I don't remember. I should remember, but I don't. And she's singing the song to me, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, I have a, class A actor serenading me with a song from where I'm from in a TV show that I grew up with. And then she revealed to me like her first few shows were in Pittsburgh, and she loves Pittsburgh. So
That's awesome.
yeah, that's really cool to sit there and think about like favorite moments. You're bringing up that you worked on season 1. Did you work on season 2 at all?
I did not. So
Okay.
season 1 had Carey Rollins for the key grip and Mackie Roberts as best boy.
Okay.
Season 2 had Aubrey, I'm bad with his last name, and then Bruce was his best boy.
Okay, so Mackie Roberts was on season 1 then. Okay.
He was the best boy though.
Yeah.
You thought he was key.
Yeah.
Then season 3 and 4, Landon took over and Tyler was his best boy.
Yeah. And that's
See,
when we came on.
yeah,
Yeah.
season 3, they played a lot on that,
Mhm.
and that out of my whole career is probably my favorite job.
What
Like,
was okay? So my second favorite. It's not even really a second or third favorite, but I would say definitely one of the most memorable experiences that I had on set with you. I know what that is, but what's your like best set or that you remember the most or that you like the most or
um,
because I know there was a lot of moments, but at the same time,
there was a lot of cool moments on it. But it was mostly just working with everyone. It was a very hard, demanding show, but
Mhm.
everyone was chill, and we were given enough time to do our work, and it looked great, and it was cool to be working on a show that I knew was awesome. Season 1, I was day playing. I'm like, I don't know what this is. Season 3, I'm like, this is a great show.
Yeah.
So excited to be here. On one of the days, um, I was pushing the Apple Box cart,
Mhm.
and Landon had every cart for a grip company has a different style of cart. Landon has a very tall cart with 4 different slots to put boxes, but you have to strap them down. I forgot to strap 2 of them and started pushing. I realized it, stopped, and like several fell in front of everyone. Like the world stopped. I'm like, oh no. And then Landon just said, Mr. Lowendick, and then clapped, and everyone's cool with it. I'm like, oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
And then, oh, he said Mr. Michael Lowendick. And then the next day, I'm pushing a cart, and JB's like, keep up the good work, Michael.
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you. Blushed so hard.
Oh man, JB did a good job. And for the folks who don't, that's Jason Bateman. He did a great job of acknowledging folks and letting the folks know that they're part of the crew. It was a very family, like oriented vibe on Ozark. It was, you knew everybody's weakness, you knew everybody's strength. Gosh, you knew everybody's attitude. It's like it's Tuesday, and I know this person's going to be a little agitated because they do that on Tuesday afternoons. But for the most part, everybody was so good to everybody. And I've never really seen that on a show where from the PAs to the Teamsters to the actors to the top of the line or above the line, all the way to locations, everybody really treated everybody pretty well. And I think it got known to be a grip killer show, but it really wasn't, like we had a bunch of tough grips there. So we did what we had to do, and we liked being around everybody. So it was kind of easy, even though we did a lot of work. So
It was a grip killer show,
mhm.
but it was very methodical where they had a plan. Sometimes director photographies have to fish, so they'll work you really hard 2 or 3 times more than they have to, and it happens. But this one, it was like, we're gonna do something really big. How long do you need? And do it.
Mhm.
And we would get it done in a reasonable amount of time. No one was stressed, but everyone wanted to get it done as quickly as possible. And it's a different vibe. I've been
Yeah.
on the opposite where it's like, why isn't this done?
Yeah.
And then your boss is getting yelled at, so everyone's stressed.
Yeah. I think Landon and Tyler did a good job of not letting the shit roll down the hill. And if there was a problem, Landon fixed it internally, and Tyler fixed it internally. Good bunch of dudes. This podcast scenario, I've talked a lot about Landon and Tyler, and both of those guys said that they will come on eventually. They're just trying to figure out schedules. So Landon might come here sometime in the near future, sometime later, and we'll talk Ozark a bunch of times and hear a bunch of different Ozark stories and a bunch of other different shows that we worked on. But when you were, because I remember there's so many different stories that you were part of these Ozark memories. And I talked about the one earlier when we were downstairs eating some pizza. we kind of remembered it differently a little bit. So I'm not sure if my memory is correct, but I do think I am correct.
Yeah, real quick. You
Yeah.
probably are correct. Like
Yeah.
certain aspects, like I love filmmaking, I love what I do.
Yeah.
But I'll see someone, they're like, "Hey, how's it going, Michael?" I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. I don't remember us ever meeting. I didn't remember Heath was on Black Panther 1 second unit.
Oh man.
So like we're talking on Ozark, and he's like, I was there, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
my bad. But
Yeah.
yeah, so there's definitely on-set events where
We
I
don't
either
remember.
blocked out or remembered differently.
Yeah, but we did talk about this with Taven and Payne, or did I forget? See, I forget who we talked about it with, because I've done so many podcasts now, just only 11 of them. But the ending scene for Ozark, and I think we can talk about it. It's old enough, but when we were at the graveyard, at the cemetery, and the we're holding down some 20 buys, some negatives, some 2020 solids. And basically we didn't even hear action or anything. We're all talking and we're all just situating ourselves and just waiting for people to do stuff. And then all of a sudden stuff just started happening. And then you heard the gunshot, and then people were like, okay, so it happened. And everyone, saw that, or everyone was like, oh, we just filmed, the big surprise scene. Like and I think what they did was they tried to get it hurried up, cleaned up, and gone, so it didn't leak or whatever. And what happened is the character, that blonde lady, she gets shot in the head. And my memory, if it's correct, you were standing literally in front of the gun and the headshot on the right side of the 20 by 20 solid, and blood splattered on you, on your body. And you were like, just like, oh, what happened? And someone was like, you got blood all over you. And you're like, oh, looks like I got to go clean up now. And then you walked away, and everyone was like dumbfounded that that scene had taken place. Some people knew it was going to happen. I don't think a lot of people did, but yeah, that was one of my, I'm standing on it that's the way it went down, but I could be wrong.
It was a 12 by 12 solid.
It was a 12 by 12
on it.
Okay.
Yeah, instead of a 20 by. What I remember is being super close to it and having it going off, and then being shocked that I'm witnessing the season finale.
Yeah.
And it just blew me away. Even when they did multiple takes of it, I'm like, this is happening. And I'm a few feet from it. But that probably did happen, where I got splattered.
Man, it's amazing how I feel like I have such a great memory, but it's for sure I don't have the best memory. But yeah, that was such a memorable moment for me, is when there was two people with blood all over them, and I thought you were one of them, and you had to go clean it up.
It probably was. But yeah, that was an amazing day. And yeah, it definitely was one of my favorite jobs. The other really job I'm proud of is Black Panther 2.
Yeah. Tell me about that, because I wasn't on it.
Yeah. Again, I was fortunate and got to day play on the second unit, fight unit for the first one, and do one day on main unit for Black Panther 1.
Mm-hmm.
Black Panther 1's a stronger movie, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And there's flaws for Black Panther 2, but I still think it's a strong movie, and I enjoy it. It was a very hard show.
Really?
But a very fun show.
Yeah.
I was just day playing in 2021, and I got a voicemail from someone, and I called him back, and they're like, hey, are you available? We're going to do this movie for a few months. And I said, yeah. And I'm like, what is it? He's like, it's Black Panther 2. And they just hanged up, and I'm like, no way. We had, I think 8 grips for interior, on stage, and 12 exterior.
Wow.
The set was so big that there were days, Bob, I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, I wish we had 14.
Yeah.
it
Such a big set.
they built a giant pool
Mhm.
back behind OFS, which it's a fiber optics company, but they have a giant backlot where they have stored shipping containers, which they'll build like rigs for. And they built a giant blue screen, and then a giant pool and filled it with water.
Yeah.
Um, but it was intense, and I I think I set it went way over shooting. I can't remember if it was like 6 months or something like that, but in the course, I think I set 6 floppies.
Oh,
It
wow.
was all camera support.
Wow.
So we had 2 cranes every day for day exterior. Our key grip was Guy Micheletti,
Okay.
and he would both operate. He had an attachment for the crane arm,
Mm-hmm.
so he'd hold the crane arm in one hand and hold the pickle in the other hand to zoom in and out the crane.
What?
He
He's
was crazy good at.
man. What was
Uh,
his name again?
Guy Micheletti. He did the Hunger Games movies. He did Wicked,
Okay.
that just came out, and then How to Train Your Dragon.
Okay. Big name then.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, but it was really fun. So we're building a lot of things. Everyone had to have a hater every day because we were using a lot of cheese burrows, steel decks.
And for those who don't, once again, I was told film jargon is hard to understand, and a hater is just a form of spanner wrench, and it has a 19 and a 21, or is it 22? I forget. 19 and 22 millimeter sockets on either end, and it comes down to a sharp point. So if you're building truss, you can straighten truss out and lock truss in and stuff like that. But everyone had to carry one.
Yeah, and then a cheese burrow, it's like a double-sided clamp.
Mhm.
So think this like here, and then this, and then that's what the wrench could do, and you could
Yeah.
attach it to pipe and other things. And yeah, just a lot of building stuff. We had to build platforms for the pool. We built like a 2-story tall platform for the camera operator to walk
Mhm.
around.
Man.
It was safe, but being told that, hey, that's what we're gonna do, we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, think of all the different structures that you built over the years that you've been gripping, and try explaining that to people who ask you, what does a grip do? I was, for folks that don't know, we live in Georgia, and I went to a restaurant today, and I don't want to say the name of the place, but it's a very great restaurant, and the owner of the restaurant was there, and I appreciate this restaurant. So it's called the Blue Eyed Daisy. It's in Serenby. There it is. You should go there, buy food there all the time, but don't disturb people. It's like a nice, quiet community. And Blue Eyed Daisy is there. And every time I've eaten there, I love the food. Every time I go there, it's like I say, if I don't know what I want, I just say, order something for me. And whatever they bring to me, I eat. It's always been good. So I saw the manager owner. I'm not sure if he's the owner, but the manager there. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something I'm not comfortable doing. I'm going to go ask this dude to be on my podcast because I really like Blue Eyed Daisy. He's on his computer. He's got all his paper. I know he's like the person running the store. So he's going to check out the podcast and see if he's interested in coming on. But I lost my point. But
what does the grip do?
Oh, that's right. And he asked me, just what the podcast is about. And I told him it was about film, and I used to be a grip. And he was like, oh man, I always hear about, electricians and grips. I don't know what like grips do. I know what electricians do, but what do grips do? And I had to explain it to him today. And that's what I told him. I was like, it's like camera support, continuity support for the lighting, and structural support, safety, and everything else that nobody else wants to do. Dig a hole, move a wall, just all the things that, pretty much all the departments do. Sometimes we get a little bit of everything. So I had to describe something to him. And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, when you were telling me about all the flats that you build and all the 20-foot, stage pieces that you've built and structures, It's like, I forgot we do that as well. You know, it's like, what do you tell somebody what a grip is?
Yeah, I know. No, that's what I do. Camera support and lighting support.
Yeah.
I don't touch electricity or the lamp, but I will help it with its color and its diffusion and block it from stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but no, and then like you said with lulls or pettibones,
Mm-hmm.
the giant tractor with the fork teeth.
Mm-hmm.
I never drive one. We had one guy out of our 12 people who had, and we were told we were gonna drive him, so get used to him. And I got okay, but a lot of our guys were pros and really good.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. We came together as a team, and it was just a really good experience. I'm very thankful I got to work on that one.
Yeah. You are very fortunate to work on some of the big shows, because you did. You got a little taste of a lot of the big shows that came through Georgia.
I did, and even like the smaller TV shows
Mhm.
that like maybe had a season or didn't go anywhere, like it's cool to be a day player,
Mhm.
like as long as you have the financial stability of like knowing when it's
Yeah.
coming. But when it's busy in town and there's a lot of shows and you're doing 3 to 4 days a week, it's great.
Yeah.
But it's also great because you get to learn a bunch. Like
Mhm.
every key grip has a different layout for their carts and the shorties and how they do things, and you get to carry these tricks to different shows and use them. Some keys, fair enough, they're like, hey, we don't do things that way. And you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine. This is your show, however you do it. But other times, like, oh, cool, that works. Good job.
Yeah. Not enough attaboys, that's for sure. And a lot of, is that how you're going to do it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Gosh.
Oh, man. Yeah. The film industry is going to miss you. That's for sure. But you're on to bigger and better things. I think that the warm heart that you gave all the people on all the different movies that you worked on is now going to, this is going to sound wrong, because the people in the film industry matter. We all love everybody in the film industry, but people who could actually use that love in the time of that need it, whether if it's going to be you just looking at somebody or hearing somebody's issue, you know, you're going to be able to help somebody. If it's just drawing blood out of someone's arm, you know, doing it the right way, or, you know, just like a simple smile. You have a great smile. So it's like when you smile over here, it's like, man, things are pretty good, you know? So I'm happy that that industry, the medical industry, is getting a person like you, a soul like you, because they need it. They might need it more than the film industry, you know? Once again, it's like, dude, our health is such a serious thing. Everybody's getting older, and folks that are young who didn't figure it out yet, you're getting older. You know, things happen and things change. And, you know, when your time is here to whatever, like have a surgery, or, you know, have to figure out a plan because of whatever ailment you have, those are real situations that millions of people have to deal with every day. And someone like you is going to help people plan that out and get advice from it. So that's all. I think you're doing the right thing, and I think that people are going to benefit from it. So
Thanks.
yeah.
That means a lot. I'm, like you said, hoping I can bring that kindness to other people in the medical industry.
Yeah,
It always bothered me though, Bob, like when we're in film, especially if you had a grumpy grip, which every other crew has, they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what we're doing doesn't matter. There's no purpose. And it's
Yeah.
like when I went to school to do film, which don't ever tell anyone when you're starting out you went to film school because they'll hate your guts. But I wanted to make movies that either entertain people, inspired them, or like give them a different direction of how someone else sees the world.
Yeah.
And a lot of the projects I worked on didn't really do that, in my opinion, but a lot of them did. And that
Yeah.
was always the hope, is that like you could have someone's bad day where like just rough day at work, but they're watching a fight scene for a movie,
Yeah.
or this drama for Ozark where it's this very um
Very heavy.
big web of things going on. It's like, how would I do this? Like, I don't know. If me from outsider, I wouldn't do this, but like, I don't know if I was actually in it, and you're just thinking about those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Like, that's how I feel about it. And but yeah, I am very grateful to try a new field, and I'm hopeful that I'll be able to help people and do good things.
Yeah. You definitely didn't choose a career path that was going to give you more time.
Well, that's what
it's like the film industry.
That's what everyone's told me. Like, I tell like my family doctor, they're like, "Well, you're not." I'm like switching for stability. And it's like it's not stable, and I'm like, but it's not getting up at 7 on Monday, and then getting up at 5 p.m. Friday, and then in 3 months being like, "Do I have a job?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah, it's not that bad, but your hours will be screwy." I'm like, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
The medical field definitely has crazy hours.
Yeah.
Definitely. So for all the medical people out there, we appreciate your career choice, and thank you for helping us, and all of the goodness and the warm hearts that are out there like Michael's here we appreciate it so much. But let's touch on the film schedule, because people who listen to this might not know. The film schedule, Monday morning, it always starts at like 7 a.m. And you work your 12-hour day, sometimes 13 or 14, sometimes 16. It depends on what's going on. And what happens, we have a rolling clock. So although we started at 7 a.m., and some people start at 6 because they have an hour pre-call, So you start at 7 a.m., crew call, and then 8 a.m. shoot call or 9 a.m. shoot call. Tuesday, you start at like 8 or 9. And then Wednesday, you start at like 1 or 2. Thursday, you start at 2 or 4. Friday, you start at like 4 or 5 p.m. And then you work until Saturday morning, until 6:30 in the morning. And then you get your day and a half off. And that's if, you didn't have an hour and a half, 2-hour ride home like I did on Ozark. Sometimes I would have to drive an hour and 40 minutes home. Then you have your Sunday off, and then Monday morning you're back at it again at 6:30 a.m., 7 a.m.
You just do that for 2 to 5 months. Sometimes you'll get lucky with a movie where I've only seen it a few times.
Terrible schedule.
But for a movie, they'll do vampire shift. So they'll plan all their night shoots together.
Yeah.
And that's a different type of awkward, because now you're getting up at 6 on Friday, at 6 on Saturday after working, knowing that one day you'll have to come in at 6 or 7 p.m. and you're just a zombie.
Yeah.
Like, it's even when you're on the clock on Monday at like 1 a.m. and you're used to that sleep schedule, you're still like, it feels like 1 a.m.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And the fact of the matter is too, like, film industry, like first, second ACs or whatever, when they're like carrying all the batteries, carrying all that, pushing all the carts, grips, all the heavy carts that we have, and all the, the electricians with all the heavy stuff that they got, special effects. Everybody has a heavy cart to push. And every truck driver has already been there for 4 hours before you got there. So like, shout out to the Teamsters and all the techs and all the IATSE folks on these shows, because they work their butts off. And everybody that is outside of the film industry, they just hear about all the fun stuff that happens on set. Oh, they hear about craft service. Oh, craft service. I hear you guys, you get, food trucks that come in. It's like, yeah, that happens sometimes, like we get treats like that every once in a while. I hear you guys get to have like steak and lobster. Well, not all the time, normally like, the end of a season or end of a show or something like that, they'll bring some steak and lobster, and, it's like, things are really good. I like that. Yeah. It's really, really great. Keep thinking those thoughts. The really suck is like when you have that 2-hour pre-call, and I think Taven and Payne talked about their experience, just having their pre-call and dealing with the the local people of the building and just having a hard time getting their things to where they need to go. You don't see that in the screen. You don't see what it took to make that shot happen and how tough it was on certain people. You know, oh man, like locations guy, you know, he had to clean up the four banger because like 3 homeless men decided to blow it up, you know, and I don't know, just like all the crazy things that you can think of that happens on shows, you just don't get to see it on film.
Yeah, it's that, and then I'm able to turn it off for the most part, but like sometimes when you're watching a movie, you'll start to see things like you said as a crew member
Mm-hmm.
where you're like, oh, that day must have sucked.
Oh yeah.
Or oh, that lighting's really cool. I bet it's coming from here and
Yeah.
there, and you're like all that stuff, and your friend or family members like just keep it to yourself. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to watch the movie. And you're
Yeah.
like, just observing.
You know, they didn't say that the first 18 times they said that.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things here that a lot of people might not know is as people, film crew people, we try our hardest to watch the movie like you do, like someone who doesn't work in the film industry. We try to detach ourselves from the show and watch it. You know, if you're a lighting person, if you're a gaffer, if you're a cinematographer, if you're a key grip, you're looking at shadows, you're looking at the lighting. If you're a color artist and you're looking at, you know, Ozark, you're like, yeah, I know the blue that they use. I know the greens that they use to color the film, you know, to give it its look. If you're an editor, you know when you see a rough chop, soft chop, or if you see a nice transition or not. If you're a set dresser, you see the coffee cup that they left on the mantle, and you know it's a time and period when there is no coffee. It's all the different things that normal people get a chance to look over because they just don't know it's there. We see it in a manner of, oh, they forgot to do this. Hey, they didn't do that. Oh, they should have did this. They should have did that. Because the movie people were the most opinionated of them all. And then the hardest was to watch the ones that you worked on. So like we talked about this before in different podcasts, like with Electric State, I was a teamster on it. I did trailers, and that was perfect for me because when I watched Electric State, I enjoyed it. I was like, oh dude, this is good. I like it. You know, like what a good fantasy film for my kids because they don't have anything like that right now. This is the closest they're going to have to Goonies or E.T. or anything. And they, you know, my boy loved it. And my youngest was very scared of it, but they loved it. I was far enough away from that so I can enjoy it. But if I try to watch Ozark or if I try to watch like another show that I worked on, I'm like, oh man, that's the day that, you know, like I got the lull stuck, or like, oh, that's the day where, you know, I had someone yell at me because I brought 250 when they asked for, you know, something different, you know, or whatever it might be. I see it differently. What about you? Do you have a
No,
hard time?
it's the same.
Here I am. I'm rambling. Sorry.
No, that I was gonna ask you about Ozark, so you beat me to it. But yeah, like it's one thing, like you said, if you're just watching a show or a movie, and like it's very obvious, like they went from nighttime exterior to interior, but the sun's sunlight now, so you're like, I guess. But like you said, if you're watching something they worked on like Ozark or Black Panther 2, you're remembering literally the day.
Yeah.
And you're like, we did all that for 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Or like you said, there would be a bad memory or a really good memory. Like
Yeah,
that's where this fun thing happened. But yeah, you'll remember a scene will come and you'll just shrink and you're like, oh yeah, that day was not good.
Oh man. Like the film people spend so much time with one another. Do you remember the games that we would play, or we can't joke too much because we have to be on point. So we really can't joke around too much. The jokes have to be good jokes in order for them to fly. But we did do things to help pass the time because once we get set up, there's quiet time. You either can step away, go to craft service that everybody knows and hears about, or you can step away back to the carts where you could be a little bit loud and talk. But I remember when we were doing we were at the one cemetery and we were doing the inside scene. There's a bunch of inside scenes at the cemetery, the gang member's house.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing that in there, and they didn't need too much help because we had so many grips that I decided, like, you know what? I'm going to put $50 in this little pocket, in this little cup, because they have $5 Fridays and things like that. I'm going to start a new thing. $50. I put $50 in there, and it's the 6 saltine cracker challenge. Were you there for that day?
No.
Bear almost had the 6 crackers. It's so hard, but if you eat 6 crackers within 60 seconds, you are a true monster. You got a superhuman skill. And I believe we got up to, I think it was like $400, because in order to win the money, you had to put in $5. So nobody won the challenge. So everyone kept saying, Bob, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I was like, I'm going to put it in the $5 Friday bucket. And I'm going to put, for all the departments, I'm just going to write a name, a tag, and buy a ticket for all the departments. So I put everybody's department in, and I put it in there. And I think the PAs won that night, but it bumped the bucket up another $400.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. But I remember those days, all the people trying to eat the saltine crackers, having all the rigging grips there, like, because of all the big moves that we had on that show, from outside to inside to inside to outside. Man.
Yeah.
Industry talk. Pretty soon you're going to be hanging out with doctors and doing the same thing here soon with a whole new slew of friends. Have you had a chance to make a lot of friends?
Not yet. The school I'm going to, Georgia State, Clarkston branch.
Mhm.
A lot of people, it's a transitional school, so they might go there and then go to the main campus, or go there to another school with transferring their credits because it's cheaper.
Okay.
So not yet, but once I join the actual nursing program, it's not prerequisites. Then I'll start being with people that will stay in, so I'll get to know them.
That's cool. Yeah. I'm trying to think of all the things that I had to ask you about.
We covered a wide
lot.
gambit.
Yeah.
So 3 other special moments in film, and then I gotta get going.
Yeah.
But in Louisiana, they have very strong grips and electrics, and 2 of the big crews back in the day was Nick Leon. His company was Orange Whip Grip for the grip, and then Bob Bates. I think it was Cine South. I feel bad because I don't remember his company now, but he's the gaffer. It was slow in town, but they still brought Nick Leon's crew still brought me out to day play.
Yeah.
And that film won best director of photography. Mudbound for, I think it was 2016 or 17. And it was just cool to work on a film, because I had worked with them on several other projects, and they're really good and talented and kind people. So it was really cool to be a part of that, to get an award.
Yeah. That's cool to be a part of something like that.
Oh, for sure. And again, I was there maybe 5 days.
Doesn't
out of
matter.
yeah.
Doesn't matter. You were there.
The other one was I was day playing around, and I got to do a couple days on First Man. I can't remember where it's at in Georgia, but there's like a power plant, like hour and a half or somewhere out here. Anyways, we were on location. They wanted to make it look like a space station for the astronaut. Ryan Gosling was the lead. My favorite actor is still Nicolas Cage, but my second's Ryan Gosling. I call him Baby Goose because Gosling's a baby goose.
Yeah.
But like, I was cocky that day, Bob, and like we had pre-lit. Like, it was a very cool crew. Like, every department was chill. But I just like got walkie. Like, I'm like, guys, it's been 3 hours. Is Ryan Gosling gonna show up? They're like, Michael, look to your left. And I just look, and he's out of earshot. Thank God. But like close enough where He's pretty close, and there's like a barrier, and I just crouch out behind the barrier and walk away.
Oh man.
But I was so excited, but just overwhelmed too.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
Oh man.
And then I got to work full time at a comedy called Miracle Workers, and they did season 1 here. The show wasn't my cup of tea, but it was very fun to work on. Daniel Radcliffe was in it. Steve Buscemi.
2 really good actors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always try to show up. I always try to show up early to set, and then I always try to show up early. Before lunch ends, just so I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
With going to work early, sometimes I've gotten lost.
Yeah.
And then I'm late, even though I'm nearby. So I'm like, I don't want that to happen. But anyways, this was during lunch. Lunch was like over in 2 minutes. And I'm just chilling on set, this big room with the key grip, just hanging out. And then Daniel Radcliffe walks in. And it was winter. It was at OFS. So the insulation wasn't that good. He's like, hey, I'm Daniel. What's your name? And I'm like, Michael. And I'm like freaking out inside because he was Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And I love those books and those movies. He's like, is it always this cold, Michael, this time of year? I'm like, it just depends. But yeah, he's like, okay, cool. I just like lost it on the inside. I kept strong outside, but inside, yeah.
Oh, that's another thing too. People think Georgia is like the South, so it must be warm. It's like, man, it gets cold here. It gets pretty cold here.
That was the year, I think it was 2017. So we
had
the
big
snow
blizzard
that year. We were unloading, and like as we were unloading, the company called it, and we're like, cool, we just can't leave now.
Yeah, you just can't leave. That happened. I was working, oh my gosh, was it Dynasty? I was on Dynasty. I was working on Dynasty. Shout out to Jay Byerly and my buddy Pete. They hired me on in 2017 when I got here. Nobody knew I was here, and somehow Pete was like, hey, I heard you're in town. I am. Come on and work with us. So thanks, Pete. I appreciate that. Pete Klingenberg. Hopefully it's okay I say your name because you're an awesome dude. Thank you, Pete. And anyway, he was working with the rigging gaffer named Jay Byerly. And I was working on that show during that storm. And one of the only times that we had, 2-3 inches of snow on the ground, which was like crazy because everyone was like, oh, it's snow in Georgia. This is amazing. And I'm like, yeah, I thought it was supposed to be like summer down here all the time. This is a boy from Pittsburgh coming down. And by 11:30, it was all melted. I never really experienced that before. But a couple of days later, my RV that I was living in, everything broke on it because we had such a large amount of snow in 2017 on a particular day where there was 11 inches of snow in my trailer park, and there was 11 inches of snow on the top of my trailer. And I had left my awning out because it was like raining the night before and I was like just hanging outside. And so it broke my awning, all that heavy snow. So I remember that winter
that
because
was
of
the
that.
only, like you said, normally it's not so bad and you might get a snow day. This year was bad, oddly enough, but for the most part, it's pretty chill. So yeah.
It was nice though to have the snow. We kind of missed it. My kids went sled riding and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we have pictures of that. That was a lot of fun. But, well, Mike, I want to thank you so much for supporting me, and hopefully you'll come back on again. One of the things about the podcast here is I'm trying to showcase my friends in a manner where other people get to know them too. So it's not a one and done. So I hope that you can find time to come back, whenever you're comfortable coming back and, tell us how school's going, how much do you miss the film industry? Are you still going to be living here when you graduate school? Like, where are you going? A lot of people like to go to Hawaii and work in the, medical field in Hawaii, but, just to give us an update. I would appreciate that very much.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, Bob.
Yeah. And for the folks that are listening and watching at home, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm being told to tell everybody, subscribe and save. I mean, subscribe and comment and what have you. And
Like,
the like, yeah,
yep.
like do all that stuff and comment. You can make fun of me and you can say some nice things too if you want. Whatever you do, just share that. And I don't read the comments, but somebody is, and somebody's replying for me. So thank you for tuning in. This is a great experience. I'm really digging the podcast life. 11 episodes in. You're my 11th episode, and I'm gonna hopefully have you be a bunch of episodes. So, but thank you for tuning in, Mike. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. And for everybody, good night. Have a good one.